best tool you can have in your toolkit when you're wanting to sell something is stories. So the neuroscience of communication, there's 3 steps to effective communication, and it's how our brains are wired. So if you know how the brain is wired, you might as well take advantage of that wiring. The first step is we need to get past the ancient reptilian croc brain. And that is a filtering mechanism for, is this new? Is this interesting? Is this valuable? Or is this the same thing I've heard millions of times? This is where AI content, because it's all becoming the same, it doesn't necessarily meet the croc brain. So the title of a book, Turn Rich into Wealth, that's croc brain. 5 weeks of sun, fun, and tax shelter, that's croc brain. It's pattern interrupt. It's like, oh, that's interesting. That's unusual. I haven't heard that before. That's novel. Or there's some benefit in it. Turn rich into wealth, benefit. So once you get past the croc brain, the second step is the social midbrain. So even like you could imagine crocodiles in a moat.
Hmm.
And to get the drawbridge to come down, you need a good message. If you don't have a good message, you might be speaking at length, but you don't actually have any communication because there's not listening. Once you do get the drawbridge to go down and you trot in on your horse, you're not immediately met at the gate by the king and queen, by the decision makers. You're met by other people. And so the social midbrain is very attuned to what's the status of the messenger. That's why it's great to be an author, as you were an author. An, an author is an authority, so you've got status. Social midbrain is what we're doing right now. I think you're worth talking to, and vice versa. So that checks that. Or, for example, this book's got a couple of awards on the cover. So you want to hit the social midbrain, and you can do it in a sentence, you know, my client, blah, 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 or a little social proof. And then the third step, and it needs to be in this sequence, you go and talk to the king and queen, to the decision makers. And yes, I know that all generalizations are false about male and female, but just to make a generalization, there's two sides of your brain. And let's just imagine that the king likes data, but the queen likes stories. So you want to make sure that you're flipping back and forth between data and stories. If you only share data, you will actually trigger the analyst brain, which always wants more data and doesn't decide. So you actually are really benefited by having a story because that bypasses that. And actually, the neuroscience of decision making is very fascinating. People actually decide emotionally and then they rationalize a second later with the data, thinking they've made a logical decision. But actually, it doesn't work that way.
Well, I think anyone that's dated the wrong person knows that, right? I mean, how many times though? Seriously, like it makes a lot of sense. Like, how many times do you pick someone based on your emotions or your gut, and then you start telling yourself all the reasons they're the right person?
Yep, that's
But
so true.
then shocker, they're not.